Hello, gardening friends. Today is Thursday, March 2nd, and I'm taking this picture to show you the trees are gone. Now suddenly my palm trees get to stand out. They did a really good job removing them. There were 2 cherry laurels and of course the large oak. The azaleas are starting to bloom fully. They're tore up a little on the outside, but when they put the sidewalks in, after they're done with all that, I'll clean them up there. But I'm just so tickled that the trees are gone. A lot is happening. Spring is definitely here, if you can't tell from the azaleas. George Tabor. The birds don't seem to be bothered by the tree being missing. I still hear them out here. The squirrels are, however. In fact, there's a bird in the Nandina now. It's early enough in the morning. It's about 7:30. I thought I'd come out here early to avoid the construction noises. The birds do like to use this bird feeder. It's not the prettiest of bird feeders, but it's all metal and the squirrels can't mess it up. They've eaten plastic ones up. They like to chew on them. But yeah, back here, pretty much the news is the azaleas. I made a list of things to look at so you can see the various bits and pieces here. Oh, there's someone that didn't get the memo. I am now on a dead-end street. So people try to cut through, but there's no cutting through. Here you can see this banana leaf has definitely unfurled. And the other one is shot up. I did notice that I have more amaryllis. For some reason, the amaryllis on the left side of my porch seem to do better than the ones on the right. There you see the one hasn't opened yet. But while I was having coffee this morning, I noticed, let's see, where are they? Here's another blossom and another one yet. So there are more coming. Amaryllis seem to prefer this side of the front porch, and the lilies of the Nile seem to prefer this side of the front porch. They just seem to do spectacularly well here and not so great over there, but they are coming back, so I'll be thankful for what I've got. I am going to be working in the yard today. Got to do some cleanup. Here you can see the pelargoniums are still blooming. I did notice this plant was coming back, which I can't remember the name of off the top of my head. I'll put it down in the write-up. The loropetalum is doing nicely. It's starting to bloom. A lot of people have asked, where is my garden? I'm in a zone 8B, and I didn't really like to give my city away, but a lot of people in the neighborhood I've talked to and are now watching me on YouTube. So I'll give you a hint. This azalea is called Pride of Mobile. Use that hint as you will. Here you can see my Pieris japonica, or lily of the valley, bush. It's got some flowers. Oh, there's a gecko crawling up into the ivy. This is the second year that that's bloomed. It's the third year that I've had it in this spot. I think I have found that the north side of my house is perfect for Pieris japonicas. You do have to keep them moist, however. African iris is coming back nicely. Here you can see the blossom has opened on the Lenten rose. There are a couple more to come. They will last a long time because really the flower parts, if I can get closer here, I'll show you. The flower parts are way down inside there, those little yellow things. And the colorful things are just really leaves. So the flowers will fall off, but those leaves will remain for quite some time. And here you can see my colocaceas coming back, or elephant ears. I think I may edit this some because it looks to be the plant from hell. I planted it here, and apparently it sent out a runner there, and a runner back there, and in the other direction, a runner here, and there. The sidewalk seems to have stopped it for now. I wouldn't doubt it if it will win over the sidewalk, but I will grub those out and try to keep it in one spot. Because although the colocasia is nice, it does get to be about 3 to 4 foot tall, and I don't want this whole bed obscured by that one plant. I did start looking at my crepe myrtles. I don't see any buds yet on them, but they will bud out shortly, especially with this heat wave that we've been having, although it's going to get chilly again for the weekend. But fortunately for Zone 8B, the first week of March is the average last frost date, so we can start planting. Yay! I've got my eye on some lettuces that I'm going to be planting. Here you can see my bougainvillea is leafing out. I, of course, did protect that for the winter. My heliotrope is still blooming. Very scented flowers. A lot of old gardening books talk about heliotrope. I've got some, I collect old gardening books. I prefer the talky ones, so not with a lot of pictures, but some from the 1800s talk about the wonderful scent of heliotrope in greenhouses. They also talk about sending your husband into the greenhouse to smoke his cigars because the cigarette smoke, or cigar smoke, is great for dispelling whiteflies and other pests. Little did we know. Here you can see this bougainvillea is also leafing out. I'm not sure what this is coming out of the ground. I don't know if they graft bougainvilleas or not, but I may cut that one out. I'm not certain if it's the same plant. The ferns are definitely coming out. Kind of looks like a forest primeval here. It looks really neat right now. The white jasmine is sprouting. I did notice that my pitcher plant has sent out more little pitcher plants from the base. And if you go back in my videos last year about this time when I bought the pitcher plant, that's all it was one of these small shoots, and it grew this much in 1 year. So hopefully this basket will become even with the next pitcher plant. I do notice that it seems to want to wrap its pitchers around something. It likes to seem to grab onto these cyclamen and sort of anchor itself with those little twirls. And of course there's a little pitcher that's going to form on the tip of that. These are my species amaryllis. They may or may not bloom this year, I don't know. Here you can see the other type of pitcher plant is fixing to bloom. This is Scarlet Bell Sarracenia. I did trim it back. I got rid of the dead or dried pitchers. But it's fixing to bloom, which is a nice thing. A lot of rose activity. Today we're going to be focusing on the last major cleanup of the year, and that is the Canary Island date palm. I'm going to try and get as many of the dead fronds off of it as I can, but as you can see, the top of it is sprouting green, as I said it would. It has in the past. It hasn't totally lost excuse me, its entire top, but about 2 or 3 times since I've had it in the last 25, 30 years. So it does come back, but it is bothersome when that happens because you don't really know if it's going to come back or not. Oh, I did want to show you one other thing. Sorry about making you dizzy, but I forgot while I was here. Loropetalum is blooming. Loropetalum are fantastic in pots. Of course, the new growth will be purple, and they bloom for about 3 or 4 weeks this time of the year, early in the spring. That particular pot is about 5 years old. That one is closer to 10. The other pot that I showed you, I won't swing back to it because it'll make you dizzy, gets a little bit more sun than this one does. And it dried up on me one year. But this has been in that pot for 10 years. And I've never done anything to it but top dress every year with some good quality potting soil. And I do put a slow release fertilizer in it. The seed pod on this chalice plant hasn't ripened yet, but I'm looking forward to seeing what that looks like. All the leaves will fall off of the chalice vine. It loses its leaves in the spring, and it'll look dead for a couple of months, and then before you know it, it'll sprout out new leaves. The only problem is it only gets one set of leaves, and here you can see where those big black grasshoppers from hell ate my plants last year. Whenever I see them, I squish them at any size, but they get to be 2 to 3 inches tall. Here you can see my hostas. It's the only place I can grow hostas because, after all, I do garden for slugs and cockroaches in this zone. A.P. garden. And the slugs absolutely love hostas. The other thing they love are dahlias. Even dahlias in pots. They'll come from miles around to attack my dahlias in pots. So I just gave up ever trying to grow dahlias here. It's not worth the effort. Ligularia is coming up nicely. Even the little one is doing fine. I watered everything last night because it's dry. There were supposed to have been some bad storms go through, but they went through north of us, so we didn't get any rain from them. Strawberries haven't got, oh, they do have some fruit. Ooh, it doesn't look very good. Oh, that's a dead leaf on it. In any event, it's getting some fruit. First berries are never really all that good, but later in the season they'll be better. I had to put a bag over the top of this one because the birds absolutely love digging in the fresh soil that I planted the strawberries in. And about every other day, I'd have to replant the strawberries because they were yanked out by the birds. I did do a small video, one of those shorts, on my Meyer lemon. And here you can see a sprout coming on my Meyer lemon. And there are a couple of others back there. Those of you that have asked me, is my Meyer lemon dead or not, just let it set. Here you see some of the branches are green, which implies that it's got some life left in it yet. And this is probably dead near the top, but I'm just going to let it sit as is until the sprouts get a little bit bigger, probably about 6 inches or so. And by that time, anything that is alive will have sprouted. And then I'll cut back everything all at once and kind of make it look like a tree again. Here you can see my knockout yellow rose. I wish you were here because it is very lemony fragranced. It's one of the few knockout roses that does have a fragrance. And the last of the forsythia blossoms are here. That is a very persistent bloomer, as I said last week. And I still have some of my yellow jasmine blooming. I wrote a cheat sheet for things to talk about so that I don't forget anything. Oh, yes, I would have forgotten about this. Up in my palm, this is a Mediterranean fan palm, you can see it's got some blossoms. So that was kind of exciting news. Well, exciting to me. My blueberries are starting to leaf out again. Unfortunately, I only see a half a dozen little flowers, but there may be some more on this one and that one. If not, they provided me some nice color in the fall, so I don't begrudge them being there. Let's see, I get a good picture of what's going to be happening later today. And that is the top of this palm is going to be cleaned up. You can see as the palms get older, they do droop back against the trunk, and they will eventually fall off. However, there are sharp bits, points up near the top, and if you happen to get clunked with one of them as they're falling, they're quite nasty. The bottom leaves on each branch, as they get closer to the center of the plant, will turn into, they fold on themselves and turn into thorns. And the thorns are particularly nasty because the tips break off under the skin. So you get jammed with this 6-inch large thorn and you take it out, and then you realize there's still something left that hurts. I didn't know what was going on here. To be quite frank, I thought maybe the cold might have gotten this tree this year, but I think it's just the old cork bark sloughing off, because you can see towards the top of it, the old leaves will eventually rot, and we're going to shake some of those off or scrape some of those off later today. But I've never had the cork bark peel off before down to this layer, and I thought maybe it was blasted off because it froze solid, but apparently not. Nature knows what it's doing. And that's about it for today. I cleaned up some of my lady palm. I took away the worst of the dead, but if I took all of the dead leaves off, there wouldn't be much of a plant left, so I figured I would just leave it till some more growth appears. It doesn't bother me to have a few little brown edges. And we're going to rake up the last of my oak leaves. Since I no longer have an oak tree, there are a bunch of oak leaves still out at the street. And they're very precious to me. Brings back the movie, My Precious, We Like Leaves. I have too much time on my hands. In any event, oh, the last thing I wanted to show you is the citrus blossoms. With all the pruning, we are still going to have some satsumas this year. They are very fragrant blossoms, and they're on all of my satsuma trees. Here you can see how the new growth is coming from the branches. So spring is here. A lot of things going on all at once, and I am so thankful to be able to look in this direction. Whoa, and fall over my garden. Don't do that. Look in this direction and not see a big oak tree anymore. So take care for now. Have a good day.